9-play cycle chronicling 3 generations of a Nigerian-American family has debuted in partnership with theaters and arts organizations across Greater Boston. The plays of the Ufot family cycle will be staged over the next 2 years, an ambitious undertaking led by the Huntington Theater and a playwright with local ties.
As a kid who really loves her mom, to see your mom that proud of you, it doesn't actually matter what anybody else says to me.
First-generation Nigerian-American playwright Mfuniso Udofia has not 1 but 9 opportunities to bring pride and joy to her mother. The Ufot Family Cycle is a 9-play series following generations of a family's story from 1978 to 2078. The first play, Sojourners, is being staged now at the Huntington Theater.
No, just...
Abigail Owenale plays the foundational character of the play's series, matriarch Abasiama.
Abasiama is a Nigerian woman who is in an arranged marriage with her husband, Okpong, who has just immigrated with him to the United States. Really, her hope, her dream, her goal is to go back home.
The allure of American culture, like Motown music, seduces Upong and his drive to succeed and return to Nigeria, and doesn't match the motivations of his wife.
What is their responsibility and what are they beholden to back home, and what does being here, and they're in Texas, in Houston in 1978, what did they learn there that maybe will alter the course of their lives?
According to Sojourners director Dawn Simmons, these existential questions will be answered through the disruptions in their lives and unexpected relationships that develop, such as the friendship between Abasiama and Moxie, a young sex worker.
Moxie represents the American-born people and how we see African people, how we think we're so different, how a lot of times we think we're more privileged than African people because how America has taught us to believe what the American experience is.
For Asha Basha Dunyani, playing the American role within a cast of Africans gives her a new perspective.
I am 10 generations American, going back to North Carolina. So I hadn't given much thought to it because I was just like, this is how I was raised. Honestly, not until I got into rehearsal. And I'm in a cast of all Nigerian people. And I looked around and was like, oh, I'm so American.
While the Ufot family cycle is not biographical to Udofia's personal experience, it is a reflection of the community she was raised in.
I grew up and seeing a whole cohort of people that had come to this country. I would go to Akwa Ibom meetings, and even though they are not, the people were not related to me. And when I say Akwa Ibom meetings, my people are from Akwa Ibom, Southeast Nigeria, and you would go to some of these monthly meetings and you would see all of the people congregating, and I started asking myself, the question is, why? Why did they come? Why are all of the men talking so proudly about Nigeria and the hope of going back?
The 9-play series, which will include a children's play and a folk opera, will be staged with over 30 arts and community partners across Greater Boston over 2 years, following ancestral connection, conflict, and culture over a 100-year time span.
One of my biggest questions for the theater was, how are we going to port into the communities, Nigerian communities, immigrant communities, who don't always come to the theater because they don't always know that it is for them? How do we reach out to them and bring them in?
Free community performances of Sojourners will be staged in Boston as well as Worcester. Udofia, a Wellesley College graduate, grew up in nearby Southbridge.
Telling this story is a service to our community, but you can't just expect people to come here. So then how do we get this story into the hands of other folks?
The opportunity to be part of an ambitious production series also takes on special meaning for director Dawn Simmons. Sojourners will be her first time directing on the Huntington stage.
I don't know that I gave myself permission to dream that I could produce a show on this stage, that I would be a part of that. And I think that is a little bit what Abasiama learns. So there's a really nice parallel there of the all of a sudden you start to think what do I want? And then how does that ripple through your life?
And the desire for a sense of belonging is common among immigrants, as the Ufat Family Cycle will explore through all of its plays. Joining us now is Dimitri Anselm. He's the Chief Officer of Growth and Engagement for Facing History and Ourselves, and one of the community partners for the Ufat Family Cycle. Thank you for being here, Dimitri. How are you today?
I am well.
Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Good to see you. So why is Facing History a natural partner for this series?
Well, this is the work that we've been doing. You know, our mission at Facing History is to use the lessons of history to help students stand up to racism, anti-Semitism, and other forms of bigotry. So teaching about identity, belonging, being part of a larger community is at the heart of our efforts toward inclusion. We have long worked with Boston Public Schools and other school districts around the country. And we have a long partnership with Huntington. So we were excited to partner.
So what do you provide to students and teachers who attend the performance?
So we are just launching a new collection for English language arts educators around the country on borders and belonging, really helping students explore what are borders? What does it mean to belong? What are the tensions and the dynamics, and how do we negotiate issues of membership, whether it be around race, gender, or places of origin. So this collection and resources for students plays right along the play and the theme of belonging and having to reimagine home and place your new roots in a new place.
These plays are going to follow generations of a family who will go from being immigrants to descendants of immigrants. Why do you think this play series is important really right now in the city of Boston?
I mean, we're having a national dialogue right now around immigration as Americans, but this is Boston. This is the place where this issue about immigration has been at the heart of the story we tell here. People arriving, newcomers, placing themselves in Boston and then becoming Americans in whichever way. So the play is really telling that story. What is refreshing is the immigrants look like me. Right? For so long, our plays, our literature about immigrations were folks who were 19th century immigrants from Europe. And now, in this particular case, these are folks who look like me, look like us. I think students in schools in Boston are going to see themselves in the play, in the story. This is our lived reality.
That's interesting because you must be reflecting personally as you're doing your job. How does this Sojourner story resonate with you as an immigrant?
So I'm from Haiti. I was born in Haiti. I grew up in the Congo, and then we moved to the Boston area in 1985. So this is, in many ways, the play that I have been living within the last 30 years for myself personally, right? Placing roots here, being very comfortable in the city of Boston and greater Massachusetts, and having to negotiate a new culture and becoming a new version of America.
So how does this space and time feel to you?
It is, I have to say, throughout the election, especially as an Haitian immigrant, it was baffling. There were moments when you heard things about Haitian immigrants in Ohio and all that stuff. We had to be wondering as Haitians, why are we caught up in here? Of all the issues, why would that be the issue coming along for us? But you know, there's a long history in American history of singling the presence of Haitians. So in many ways, this is a continuation of this history. The issue of immigration is that's the language of adults. For young people in the classroom, the question is about who's in, who's out.
And why me?
And why me?
Yeah.
And more importantly, who gets to make that decision, right? So as we are helping kids think about issues of inclusion, you want to give it in language they can understand. Who gets to play, who doesn't get to play, and who gets to make that decision.
Dimitri, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing your personal story.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
The Pryor Performing Arts Center at the College of the Holy Cross in Worcester is hosting the next free community performances of Sojourners on Tuesday. You can check wcvb.com/cityline for ticket availability and for other community performances in Roxbury and East Boston. And Sojourners at the Huntington Theater runs through December 1st. And the next play in the Ufat Family Cycle, The Grove, debuts on February 7th.